So we're now starting the second hour broadcast. We're going to take some time and finish up some more of the information from the first broadcast and then move on from there. So Kevin, back to you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you should be seeing the slide called Reflections, the cons.
That's correct.
Okay. So the first reflection on the downside is that there was this great effort at integration of all these different techniques, different mathematical, logic, linguistic techniques, along with implementations and software. And then since that time, there's been a scattering of people that want to follow a particular author, or they learn from a particular master, and they kind of stay encamped and don't cross over. And that's a problem that we're wrestling with in our basic structural modeling project, which Joe will be talking about. An aspect of that, partly driven by the need for originality in journals, and especially university settings, is every time someone figures out something new to do with structural modeling, they give it their own name. Makes it difficult to track in the literature. There's been a devolution in standards since Harari. Harari largely standardized on language that integrated set theory, matrices, graph theory, and since that time, people have kind of gone away from that great act of standardization. Not so much in the people that do work on graph theory, but people in the applied realm. Excuse me. There's been a rush every time someone learns about the interpretive structural modeling algorithm. If they have any capability or money, they want to develop their own software. They think they're going to get rich. No one's gotten rich off doing this as software. The communities are quite isolated. People that follow design structure matrix, which is there's a big contingent at MIT and Germany. They reference Warfield's work in what to do with matrices after you have them filled in, but they don't really use the interpretive structural modeling would actually help them fill it in. This is better in Japan and India and China. They recognize the value of the integration, but they're isolated by geography and language from us. And also another thing that isolates us is when this work is done in large companies, that people don't publish about what's going on because it's a competitive advantage. So a lot of the advances, especially large-scale applications, you never hear about because it's going on in large companies and proprietary work. There's no data exchange standards between all these different implementations, and so there's no repositories of models that people might actually learn about structures that are similar across different application domains. This is one of the things that hurts when it comes to doing things like Len Troncal's models of processes and exploiting the idea of isomorphisms of von Bertalanffy. We're not really in a position to do it. You have to manually enter your own version of a matrix in whatever software you're doing for whatever case you're doing. It makes doing the research very costly. There's poor feedback from applications to theory, although Warfield outlined this as a matter of pragmatism from Peirce, and Kurt Lewin had the idea of action theory, action research, that there should be an attempt to do something and then feedback into the theory of how you were going to go about doing it. But in the Warfield and Christakis camp, there's been very poor empirical backing for advances in the theory, and it's kind of stagnated, in my opinion. There's a lack of evaluation and metrics for evaluations of the cases. This is being advanced right now by Midgley. He was in Australia. I think he's back in England now. trying to get he developed a proposal for international collaboration to have all these different methodologies, broader than the ones I identified, but in the realm of problem formulation methods, to develop a common base so that we can have develop a format for case records to track. And then there's been advances in the language and in ontologies and psychology about using this type of math that have advanced independently, and our field has not referenced it at all. And that's one of the things I'm taking up as a charge. So on the pro side, there was really a transformation from categorical types of thinking, a la Aristotle, to constructive and causal types of theories, a la Galileo. And that was a major initiative of Kurt and Lewin. And I think that at the time that Lewin was doing it, social psychology and doing things in the non-mathematical realm with math was very unusual. And so there's been that transformation. An interesting aspect of when the real advances that have happened is applications and philosophy of doing science really drove the theorizing together. And we're trying to bring that back. You see, in a number of cases, the people that made the great breakthroughs in connecting things were also very interested in language and the value of new notations, especially the influence of Einstein. And you see that interested in the value of notations going back to Lavoisier in chemistry and Leibniz. There was a steady progress of formalization from the medieval time until about the early 20th century, and in the applied realm, though, if you look at things like UML and SysML, they've actually kind of gone backwards. They're not representing the formal structures behind things. They're doing things tied to the items more, and so that I think in the applied realm we've kind of gone backwards with some of the languages that we're using for systems modeling. There's been half a dozen major breakthroughs that were involved in linking different fields together, and often that was involved in tight partnerships, such as Sylvester and Cayley in both set theory and matrix theory. And so the major breakthroughs, Kuratowski recognizing that theory of relations and set theory is the same. Harari finally putting together Boolean matrices and graphs. The use of logic with diagrams, kind of initiated by Leibniz, but really capitalized on by Charles Sanders Peirce and then later John Sowa. Abductive inference, starting with syllogisms and the recognition of transitivity as a law or a rule, and how that could be used in matrices, which is really the connection of abductive inference and matrix manipulation is really Warfield's breakthrough. And field theory as a metaphor for social science and doing things like systems modeling, not just for hardcore physics, it is something that we saw two paths from Einstein's influence, one through Kurt and Lewin and up to Cartwright and Harari in the development of graph theory, and then also from Einstein to Wheeler to Christakis in his development of interpretive structural modeling with Warfield. And so if there's any questions, I certainly can entertain them.
Well, that was really a great presentation, Kevin. Thank you very much. I have actually a lot of questions, but I'm going to be talking next, so I don't want to take up some space. Is there anyone else has any questions?
Can you hear us from this side?
Yes, we can hear you.
Lincoln College, I think excellent. And
I can't hear that.
Oh, that's all right. This is Len Troncalli, and I just wanted to congratulate Kevin on an excellent and deep analysis of a lot of strands that were in my head before. I'm sure it's useful to all of us here.
Thanks, Len. I hope that we can take on your project as an application of ISM sometime in the future.
I'm teaching a class right now, and it's really important because I'm too old to be doing so, but I really have to join your weekly sessions with Joe. I think that I want to see that happen too. Monthly? They just seem weekly.
Okay, Ken.
With that, I'll hand it over to Joe.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin. I really appreciated that specific background in history. It really helps to elucidate and bring a lot of ideas and constructs together, and I think that will really help support the presentation I'm going to give now. So what I'm going to need to do is take control back here. Then I'm going to go and bring up my new screen sharing. And then I'm going to go over here on this particular part and bring up my slides. Let's go. All right, so I should be good to go there. Can everybody see the screen? Structural modeling activities?
I can see it, Joe. It's up.
Okay, thank you. Well, given many of the issues that Kevin very carefully presented, we've started looking at issues associated with structural modeling and have been carrying out some research for the last 3 or 4 years, and we're going to talk about some specific things that we're doing in this presentation. Okay. Now then, the primary problem is that, okay, come on. Okay, so my screen,
It appears we lost Joe. He'll be reconnecting.
Are all of you on the system science working Google debate? You've been following on? Joe often contributes to those. And on those, he announces the activity, the cooperation. They're really extending and computerizing the workflow landscape. I think it's very much more useful.
It didn't quite make that out. Could someone repeat it closer to the mic?
I was just advertising Joe's use of the System Science Working Group Google to announce his, what I said by mistake, weekly meetings, monthly meetings.
Yeah, we meet in a Google Hangout on the first Saturday of each month.
And you should join the System Science Working Group Google mail reflector.
I'll also mention that there is an interpretive structural modeling group on LinkedIn that we're starting to use to coordinate and announce new papers and so forth.
Joe is continuing to try to get back on this call.
Mary, maybe you could say a little bit about how you and Joe got into the basic structural modeling project, because you're the leaders.
Well, we got into the basic structural modeling project basically because we spent a fair amount of time both studying Warfield's work and then spending time with Warfield trying to unlock the differences between what we had found in his work and the fact that he had, as it turns out, actually done all of his matrices by hand and had not had to actually computerize it, per se. And so that led us to looking at the very specific pieces of what we call Boolean reasoning as opposed to Boolean minimization, which is what's commonly found now in the other areas. But that then turned us to looking at the very basic pieces of the mathematics applied to and as it's related to the logic and how they were different, going from one area to the other.
Increase the volume or be closer to the microphone.
That is full volume. That's a full volume.
Mary, we're having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, nobody
Hello?
can really hear what you're saying.
Hello.
Yes,
This
this
is
is
from
Mary.
yeah, this is from Incosi. We are having difficulty to hear you. The voice is breaking in between. Joe.
Hello.
Yeah, the voice is breaking in between.
Hello.
I can hear you, Joe.
Hello. I can hear you. And I don't know whether you are able to hear me, Joe. From Incosi. This is from Incosi. We are having difficulty to hear you. The voice is breaking in between. Joe.
Hello.
Yeah, the voice is breaking in between.
Hello.
Hello, Joe.
I can hear you, Joe.
I can hear you. And I don't know whether you are able to hear me, Joe. This is from Incosi. We are having difficulty to hear you. The voice is breaking in between. I'm bring down the.
Hello.
Can you restart the hangout?
Hello.
Hello, Joe.
I can hear you, Joe.
I can hear you. And I don't know whether you are able to hear me, Joe. This is from Incosi. We are having difficulty to hear you. The voice is breaking in between. I'm bring down the. Can you restart the hangout? I think it's getting.
No, why don't we just
You mute. You put that mute. Okay. Okay, that's okay. That's fine. That mute is fine. I don't think anybody there. Hello.
Hello,
Yeah.
Nirvana.
Hello, Joe.
Joe is actually now back offline.
I think you are okay now. You want to continue?
Well, I can't access the actual presentation, which is on Joe's computer. I'm on a separate computer.
Okay. Anybody Joe number? Seattle.
Joe, we're going to move my computer and get a presentation from his to mine, and then he'll use my computer.
So you are able to hear Kevin, and you are not able to hear Joe. Is it true?
I am able to hear Kevin, but I don't know that Joe is even on the call anymore. So I'm hearing you, and
Yeah.
I can hear Kevin when he speaks.
Okay. Is there a way you
I'm going to put my computer on mute for just a few minutes and move it real quickly. We're going to go ahead and completely stop this particular session and then start a brand new one.
Okay.
So everybody needs to actually leave this call, and then Joe will start a brand new one so that we have a clean version.
Okay, that's fine. Sounds good.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello. We're back together.
Yes. Just give me a second. I will just put this on Global Meet. I will try to. I'm just gonna say. Yeah. Okay. Kevin.
Yeah, Mary is going to take over now.
I think just the three of us are on now, and I thought that Joe was going to be on this one. So let me go back and find out what's up with his computer.
Oh, again. Okay. Now Joe is calling now. What do I do?
Or you're just hearing the ring.